Good afternoon, everybody, on this humid and warm Ohio Sunday. My goodness, it is warm and humid. It's very, very thick outside. It's like walking through a thick soup. We actually had an air quality warning for several Ohio counties nearby here that was supposed to last for a couple days. They said there was a large accumulation of ozone or something, which, I don't know, usually you get that from things blowing up or from fires burning or and stuff like that. So maybe it was all the fireworks from the last couple of months all finally building up. Anyway, today I'm doing a tasting on something that I've been teasing about maybe the last two videos. I think it was just the last video, but maybe the last two. I'd already opened this, and I'd already been sipping on it, and I kind of had to stop myself from going through it too quick so that I could actually make sure that I was able to taste test it for you guys. So, here we go. This is Four Roses Small Batch Select. It's a Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey crafted from 6 unique bourbons, 104 proof, so lower proof than the... I had thought it was higher proof, but I guess it's lower proof now that I'm reminded of it, than the Maker's Marks that I did in the last video. And they use 6 recipes of 4 roses in this. And they're all labeled with a 4-letter code, OBSV, OBSK, and they each have like a tasting note attached to them. The first one is delicate fruit, like pears and apricot, spicy and creamy. Second one, rich in spiciness, full body, followed by mint, fruity, spicy, full body, and so on and so forth. I don't, like I said, the last video I told you guys, I don't know if I follow a lot of these whenever somebody puts tasting notes on things because they seem a little silly, because they don't always usually match up to me. But then I'm not very good at picking out a lot of those kind of flavors, so maybe people with a better system of taste buds, with better nerves. I have some nerve damage and things that I've had for a number of years, and it kind of makes things weird with anything that relies on the nervous system, like taste buds or I don't know, pretty much everything, because your body uses a lot of nerves. So, but I've been tasting on this, and I really like it. I'm a big fan. I really enjoy it. And it's got a little story in here from their master distiller. Looks like his name is Brent Elliott. Brent Elliott. And I'll leave that for another time. But yeah, I've been sipping on this. Now, I had never had Four Roses in general before. I've never had anything from that company before. I'd seen it in the stores plenty of times. I had heard people talk about it and seen it on Facebook groups, but I'd never actually tried it. And the reason I tried it this time is kind of a geeky moment, and it might seem kind of silly, but as some of you guys know, I'm a console game player. Specifically, I play a lot on my Xbox, and there's a game series. There's only 2 games in it right now. I'd always heard they was going to make a third one, but it hasn't happened so far. There's a game series called Shadow Warrior. This is not a game for your kids. It is very bloody, very violent, has a lot of bad language, all the things that I enjoy in a good video game. But again, not for kids. And the main character in that game, his favorite whiskey is Four Roses. And they just drop that in somewhere near the very beginning of the first game, and they don't mention it throughout the rest of the series. But it was interesting, and I thought, you know what? I'm playing this game, and I love these games. I'm replaying them. I've played them. I've played the heck out of them, but they're just good repeat games. And so I'm sitting there playing it, and I heard them mention it in the beginning of the first game. I'm like, I never really noticed that before. And when I was playing this before, I wasn't as big into my whiskey collecting as I am now. And I thought to myself, I've never tried Four Roses. Maybe I should try it, because who knows? The game might mention it in there, and maybe they're trying to say it's like some low-end, cheapy brand, and maybe it's crap. I know a lot of people online who say it's not, who always rave about it, and I've seen it a lot in the stores, and it's priced, relatively in the same range as a lot of other good bourbons. So, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get some, and I'm going to drink it while I'm playing this game. For accuracy, consistency. And I like it. I do like it a lot. Compared to the Maker's Mark's last video, it's a tough comparison. It is really good stuff. I think I like it more than I like both of those, but that Maker's Mark 46 was really, really, really good. The 1792 is still my favorite bourbon, but again, that Maker's Mark is a close second. And I'm going to go ahead and have some of this now for you guys and try to describe it for you. And try to figure out where I would put it in that lineup, because this is pretty good stuff. I really enjoy it. Got my actual Bruichladdich tasting glasses here today. Pour a little bit in here. When I'm doing single tastings, I think I'll probably do an actual tasting glass. When I'm doing multiple tastings, like a tasting battle, I'll probably stick to my tin cup, because that way I don't get a whole bunch of every one of them and end up being like, so that's your bourbon for this week. I think it tastes delicious. Go buy some. I don't want to end up like totally smashed by the end of a video. Moderation is important. So, now generally with bourbon, I like to have an ice cube. Just one. Not real big. Not one of those gigantic spheres. Not like anything fancy. Just one little ice cube to kind of take the edge off a little bit, as opposed to my 3 drops that I put in most of my other whiskeys. Since I don't have any ice made, I've gone through all of my ice, and I was supposed to make more yesterday, so now I have 2 empty ice cube trays just sitting there looking forlorn. And so I'm going to add a little squirt from my dropper rather than drops, and put that in there. Take a little bit of the heat off the outside, because bourbons tend to be very, very harsh, very, very stabby in your mouth, very cutting, very biting, and very sharp is what I usually say. That's the word I was looking for when I went through the entire that book that gives you multiple words with the same meaning. It's an E word. I'm forgetting it. It's not a dictionary. It's thesaurus. It's not an E word. It's a T word. Thesaurus. See? Gone today. Just like, whew. I haven't even been drinking anything yet. This will be my first drink of the day. So, and let's get a look at the color here. It has the nice dark auburn color of a good bourbon. A lot of your bourbons are this color. Very dark, deep, and rich. Kind of viscous. You can see it kind of swirling around in there. And it smells real good. It has... It has a lot of fume to it. It has a definite rubbing alcohol, nail polish remover smell. Which again, like I said, that's not always an indicator of how good or bad a whiskey is going to be. Bourbons tend to have a lot of that because they tend to be higher proof, so you smell a lot of the alcohol, but it doesn't always translate to the taste. When it smells like that, and then when it tastes like that, and there's not much on the flavor front, then you're better off picking something else. This is not like that. I'm a big fan of this, but I haven't had it for several days because I've been trying to save it to make sure I have enough for the tasting for you guys. And so compared to the Maker's Mark, I'm looking forward to how it's going to be compared to what I've been drinking lately. It has almost a little bit of a floral smell. Not quite like roses, though. Like a fresh, like a honeysuckle kind of. The flower, not the person, because she probably smells. But, scratch that. Edit that out in post. So it has a kind of a fruity floral kind of smell to it. Almost like cherry blossoms or peach blossoms or something like that. And very fumey. Like smelling this, I can feel like the fumes going right down. So as evidenced. So, let me go ahead and tip this back and let you know how it goes. And it does have a lot of fume once it hits. When you first get it there on the palate and roll it around, you don't get a whole lot, but as soon as you swallow, you get the fumes and you get heat all the way down. The heat goes straight down into your chest. It's a very hot, very spicy bourbon, but very smooth, very, very drinkable. Now, the next thing I'm going to say about it might put you off of it, but bear with me here. It tastes a little bit, and again, bear with me. It tastes a little bit like a leather boot, but good. So you're wondering, how could the taste of a leather boot be good? It's a good question. It has, you know how you smell like a new piece, like a leather boot or a leather jacket or something like that, and it has that nice kind of freshly made smell to it. And to me, it's kind of a pleasant smell. I like the smell of new leather. I don't have a lot of leather, honestly, because it's ridiculously difficult to keep to take care of these days. It's also too hot most of the time. It's easily ruined in this climate. But I do like the smell of it, and that translates into the taste here. And it tastes good. It's a great taste. It's a great profile to it. You guys might remember a video. I have to re-upload it because it's been a while. Rob and I tasted something called the War Master. And the War Master, it was branded after a MMA or UFC fighter or somebody. I don't remember because I don't follow either of those sports, honestly. But I'd seen it come up, and Rob and I had tried it, and we famously said that it was like chewing on an old leather belt. And that's in a bad way. It did. It was supposed to be mesquite flavored, like it had, when they'd put it in the barrels, or when they charred the barrels, that it was mesquite charred barrels or something like that, or the barley was smoked over mesquite chips or something like that before they distilled it, and it didn't work. It was like chewing on an old leather belt, and that flavor was overwhelming. It knocked out everything else. This has, like I said, it reminds me of an old leather boot, or a new leather boot rather, but in a good way, in a pleasant way. It's more on the nose, it's more in the smell, and I don't know, it's something that I know you guys are probably like, you're not really helping your case here, but trust me on this. Give it a taste. Let me know what you think about that, because it's pleasant. It's pleasant. It hits pretty hard, though. Like, I was out at the grocery store doing curbside pickup just a minute ago, getting some regular groceries, so I was out in this weather. And it's very thick outside, and breathing in a few lungfuls of that is kind of like... And that's still kind of sitting in here. It's kind of a gross day out, to be honest. It's just a gross day. And, if you don't gotta leave in this area of Ohio, you might as well stay home and stay in the air conditioning or something. But this is good stuff. I'm a big fan. Let me give it another taste now that it's kind of sat on the palate a little bit. And it's milder the second time around. The first drink is a little rough, like most bourbons are, but the second one is milder, and it goes down a little bit easier. Because I've been out in this weather, and now it's kind of like getting in my throat. I'm still kind of like, and the fumes kind of bother me, but on a good day, I usually don't get that. But it's good. and it's got a nice syrupy feel to it. Rolls around the mouth very good. I'm a big fan. I really like it. I don't know if I like it quite as much as the Maker's Mark 46 that I did in the last video, but I do like it a lot, and I would get it again. But I don't know how often they have this one. This is, again, the small batch select, as you can see there, which I don't recall seeing this on the shelves, but I'll admit I wasn't looking for it before. I was only looking at brands, and I only noticed that they had Four Roses before, so I don't know if this is pretty common around here, or if it's something that's going to be hard to find compared to the regular Four Roses. I'm interested now in tasting what the regular Four Roses does taste like, because this is pretty good. And again, it's not as high proof as the Maker's Mark that I did last week, which was, like, this is 104 proof. The Maker's Mark last week started at 108 proof and then 110 or 111 proof. So it doesn't hit quite as hard, and it's a nice flavor profile. And I know you guys are thinking, you just told us it's like a leather boot. How are we supposed to think that that's delicious? Trust me on that. Trust me on that. I think you'll get what I mean if you try some, and I think you'll like it. End result is this is a nice slow sipper. My last video I talked about the Maker's Mark. I know I'm referencing that one a lot, but just by comparison. And I said that one of those was one that you'd keep at home for special occasions, and another one, the Maker's Mark Cask strength, is something that you'd have like challenge drinking with your buddies, where you see how many shots you can have before everybody falls over. This is not like that. This is closer to the Maker's Mark 46. It's a nice slow sipper. It's something you're going to drink at home, maybe pull up for a special occasion, but I think this is a nice casual drinker. I think this is something that you get it, you sit at home, you relax, you chill out, sip on this over the course of half hour to an hour, get a refill or two. Great evening. That's what I think. I'm not sure if this is a good meal pairing bourbon. There's an element to it that just kind of like, I don't know if I'd want to eat a lot while drinking it. It doesn't bother my stomach per se, but it doesn't lend itself to like being a social meal kind of bourbon, in my opinion anyway. I think it's good, just like I said, if you're sitting at home, it's a Friday night or a Saturday night, you got nothing else to do, you're off work or something like that, and you just want to sit and relax, maybe go out on the porch if it's a nice night out, and you just want to sip on something that'll give you a nice, good, solid bourbon feel, and just enjoy life, basically. That's what this is. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. After 2 or 3 of these, it starts to taste pretty good, but that's because the taste buds are kind of like, well, we don't care anymore. But I think it's good from the very first taste. So it's up to you. Take that for what it is. I know my descriptions of this one have been kind of shaky, but trust me on it. I think if you're a bourbon fan and you're a fan of high proof bourbons, I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like it. I think it's very open, very honest tasting. I know that's a weird description, but I don't think it's something that promises too much. I think it delivers exactly what it says it delivers. And it's a nice collection of flavors that they've blended in there. So, Four Roses, small batch select. Price point about, I can't remember exactly what I paid for it. I think it was between 45 and 50, maybe a little bit more. It might have been 55, but relatively affordable. Getting up into the $60, kind of slightly expensive range for a bourbon, but still relatively affordable. And again, it's a slow sipper, so this one will probably last you a while. So you'll get a lot of return on investment on this one compared to some other ones which you get through them and then they're gone, and then you've spent like $60, $70 on something that's gone in a couple days. So this is a nice slow sipper. This is something to relax with. And I like it. I've been sipping on it and playing on my console for a couple of days before I stopped drinking it to make sure I had enough. And it was a nice, enjoyable time. Because usually at that point, everyone in my house is asleep. It's just me. It's quiet. I can just sit back, relax, play my games, drink my bourbon. It's a good time. It's a good time. But again, I think if you had a nice weather day and it was a nice cool breeze outside, it'd be a good thing to eat. A good thing to drink out on the porch or in your backyard if you have a nice patio set up or something like that. Or even if you don't, just, sit on your stoop. Just, don't get arrested because it might not count as your property if you're out there and police are walking by. I don't want you to drink in public like that. But anyway, good stuff. That's the Four Roses Small Batch Select. I'm a fan. I really like it. Hard to say where it stacks up compared to the Maker's Mark 46. But it's good regardless. One of these days I'll work out like a top 10 for all the different whiskeys I like, whether it's Irish whiskeys or bourbons or scotches, etc. Some of them are already going to be clear number ones, like the Brookloudie Port Charlotte 10 is my number one scotch. That's how it is. And the 1792 so far is my big number one bourbon. But yeah, that's the deal with the Four Roses Small Batch Select. I like it. I hope you do too. Relatively affordable. You can usually find Four Roses as a brand in your local grocer or if you have a local liquor store. Here in Ohio, of course, it is about between $45 and $60, if I'm remembering correctly. I don't think it's more than 60 because when I bought this, I bought it at the same time as the two Maker's Mark bottles, and none of them were over 60 individually. None of them were in the $70 or $80 range. So, but that's what you got. That's all I got for you. I'm gonna finish this off, do a nice slow sip, and I will catch you guys next time. I think the next thing I have on deck is going to be the Diplomatico Exclusiva, which is the rum. And I feel like I've done a video on that before, but I'm going to do it again in case you missed it or in case I didn't. I don't know. I haven't gone back and looked through all my various videos to see what I've tasted and what I haven't. I probably should categorize everything to make sure I know what I'm doing. No repeats. But I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And then in the near future, as I said in the last video, I'm going to try to get some cognacs, some vodkas, some different tequilas, and do some different things for you guys, depending. So, till then, Four Roses Small Batch Select. Thumbs up from Spider, from your good old buddy Spider. Never steers you wrong. Never ever steers you wrong. Don't forget it. And thanks for everybody who watched. I appreciate it. I appreciate you 100%. And there will be content on the YouTube soon. I promise. Very soon. Working on it. Behind the scenes. Working on it. Okay. Till next time. Cheers. That's a good bourbon. It's a great bourbon. Go buy some.